Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And as you, at least as I am planning to title the video, something along the lines of "It's crashing hard." Okay, it's crashing hard, and if you've been paying attention to the global news, especially dealing with the financial aspect of things, there's been a lot of turmoil recently. Okay, more intensely within the past week, with the whole situation with Silicon Valley, and now, what is that? Credit Suisse, and so on and so forth, and other banks, right? And what's interesting is that going back to the beginning of the year, you had this World Economic Forum, which even going back prior to that, last year, and so on and so forth, you had these different meetings, these different like the World Government Summit meetings, and the main thing they were getting at or driving at was a new financial system. All right, it was the introduction of a new financial system, which was going to be digital. Okay, and everything, pretty much the whole way of finance is going to be revolutionized and made completely digital. And as we always say, which is pretty much a straightforward concept, which is when you have a new a change that you want to bring and you want to implement it, you need to get rid of the current system that is here. Because you can't, usually they do it through a transition. But the thing about it is people are comfortable. And a lot of people, especially Americans, but just people in general, don't like change. Even if it's something that it's so-called good for them, is that first step that a lot of people, because they don't want to be pushed out of their comfort zone. So a lot of people are used to the way things are now. And in order to push them towards this new agenda, you need chaos, because you can bring control through chaos. You can generate fear and confusion and hard times. And people, when people are put in a position like that, they want to do anything they can to get out of it. So when you come back and say, hey, the way that we can get out of this situation, or the solution is blah, 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 then you can see what's going on. Now, I have a few interesting, some are tweets, some are articles, and I guess I'll start with the first one, which is a tweet that was put up today by Zero Hedge. Okay, and let me see if I can pull it up on here. I'll just read it real quick. And basically in the tweet, all right, so it says the FedNow payment service will launch in July. Central bank says, and then under that it says, is this CBDC? And somebody commented on that and said the FedNow service is a new instant payment service that the Federal Reserve banks are developing. And keep in mind that Federal Reserve is not actually federally owned. It's just called Federal Reserve, but it's actually privately owned. And they are also the ones who are pulling strings here and there. So keep that in mind if they're coming out with something new like this, which we know at the end of the day where this is all going to lead to. The crash is expected, but it's a systematic controlled crash. So it says that the Federal Reserve banks are developing to enable financial institutions of every size and in every community across the U.S. to provide safe and efficient instant payment services in real time around the clock. And that's the thing. They always push the aspect of these are the pros, these are the benefits. You can, security is better. The transition of funds from one location to another is more secure, and so on and so forth. But the thing about it, that you have to keep in mind is, at what cost does that come with? Because once you eliminate all these um, intermediate steps between money going from one place to another, and now it can instantly be sent here and there, and all of this fluent and fluid transactions, what does that also introduce? That also introduces control, because then they can shut off the faucet, so to speak, right? Shut off the pipe at any time, instantly. The same way they can instantly allow you to receive this here and there, they can also instantly shut it off. And the whole point is to centralize it all. So everybody now has to go through this. You don't have options to okay, well, I'd rather pay with cash or pay with card or check or money order or go through this. No. Everybody's gonna have to go through this system. That's when you centralize it. So you block off all other options. And that way, since you're forced to go through this one system that they've instituted, they can now regulate it and tell you, well, if we say that the rules are A, B, and C, then the rules are A, B, and C. If you don't want to do A, B, and C, then you're not gonna be making any transactions then. And that is control. All right, that is control. So the next thing here, and what's interesting is that they're saying this will launch in July, right? And interestingly enough, we're in March. What, April, May, June, July, a couple months away, and you're seeing the crashing of, they're saying one of the biggest bank crashes since, what, 2008. And then now they're looking at, Credit Suisse, however you say it, as the next one, which is also plummeting, which the recent events that you see them do is always in the form of like a trend. One here, then one here. But a lot of people are starting to say that it's not a matter of just coincidence. It's just the system itself is breaking down. It was set up, it was designed that way. It wasn't built to last. On top of that, it's been constantly deteriorating over and over and over again. It's like somebody that's barely alive, and then I don't know, one kidney goes out, then the other kidney goes out, then the rest of their organs start failing, and then the heart stops, and it just like that. So, I mean, we have to ultimately, at the end of the day, watch and see. But, I mean, from what we're looking at right now, is looking pretty interesting. Now, there's another interesting tweet here, where this is from JP Morgan. The quote says, or as quoted, a pause now, which is talking about if the Fed was to pause hiking interest rates. So a pause now would send the wrong signal about the seriousness of the Fed's inflation resolve. It would also send the wrong signal about financial dominance, which is the idea that the Fed is hesitant to tighten because of concerns about financial stability. So, meaning that you tighten the flow of money when you increase interest rates, you make it more expensive to borrow money, so people don't keep borrowing and the money doesn't just keep pumping out in there, right? But now they're in a position where they're saying, okay, well, look at your hiking rates and breaking shit. And if you stop now, then all that talk about, oh, we have no option, we have to raise interest rates in order to deal with inflation and so on and so forth. And until inflation comes down to 2%, we're not going to stop raising those rates. What then people are going to start questioning that, right? That's what JPM is saying here, right? That if you pause now, then people are going to say, wait, so you were so adamant about bringing inflation down and so on and so forth, and now why are you so afraid now? And then it also sends that message out that maybe this system is not as strong as people make it out to be, right? Which is why you're afraid to keep on raising those rates, because you don't even trust that your system is going to survive through that. And at some point, everything is just going to come tumbling down. So they're in a very interesting position right now. So it's like, okay, raise the rates, keep breaking things until everything just collapses. Don't raise the rates and let let the inflation jump into hyperinflation. And either way, shit is going to break down. And we kept telling you months ago, years ago, that they saw this whole thing coming, but the insider goal was to set themselves up in this very position nicely, because Either way, they are successful or they are happy if this economy dies or if this system, this financial system goes down. And so they've put themselves in a position where it's gonna go down. It's just gonna go down one of two ways. And then lastly, I have an article here, and this is also from zerohedge.com, titled Panic Meltdowns, People Crying. Because keep in mind that people in this society, let me first get a quick precept, because, or maybe two precepts. This is, I'm going to start actually with the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed, meaning change forms, by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So when the Lord puts the Spirit on you, when you come into the truth and you wake up, your thought process changes. So we don't think like the people in the world think, in the sense that the things that they value and they get so stressed about and so worried about, those we don't have those concerns. Our focus is on heavenly things, more spiritual things. So we are not as mentally affected as how these people who have their hope in this world and this society are. All right, which is going to lead me to my next precept, which is in the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 4. It says, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So we understand that. Hence, yeah, okay, if you make money, good. The scriptures tell you that money is a defense, but it also tells you that wisdom is also a defense. And so we are pursuing what? Righteousness, because in the day of wrath, there will be death. The day of the Lord's wrath is going to be a time of great destruction. And at that point, money is not what's going to deliver you. And people are realizing that now, how you can work so hard and for years, and in an instant, you can lose all of that. But the scriptures tell you that the work that those that believe in the Lord do, your work follows you. And your work will not be vanquished. So long as you are the elect, you stay diligent and you make it to the end, your work will always be remembered. And you will be rewarded for it. The scriptures say that the Most High is not unrighteous as to forget our labor of love, which we have had toward his name. So our true riches or true true riches, they're last, they're eternal. So we're not overly stressed with the situations that go on here. As a matter of fact, we expected it to happen. So it was more like waiting for it. But you have people here, going back to the article, panic, meltdowns, people crying because their whole life is on their money, their assets, their funds. How good are their stocks? So when all of these things start going bad and they have a whole lot of money and a whole lot of investments and all these things tied into it, and literally there's people who that is their life. They wake up and that's what they're looking at constantly. Like how we watch for prophecies, they watch for these things. So what happens when they just instantly, they just lose all of that? People are not going to even be able to process that properly. And now think about this. There are people that are willing, which they've done in the past, to end their own lives over these losses. Say they had billions of funds in a certain area and then poof, and it's gone. There are people that are willing to end their lives over that. Now, if they're willing to go as far as to end their lives because they feel, well, it's all gone, they're never going to get it back. But then they're told, hey, you lost $30 billion, but with this new system that we're launching, this digital system, we can reimburse you. We can give you that 30 back, but in the digital currency. So you don't have to worry about it. We'll cover you. And digital currency is that digital currency. So they can literally just plug in 30 billion digital dollars and you're good. Somebody that was willing to take their life over that loss, do you think they would stand there and say, no, I'm not going to do that because that's the MOTB? Or because I don't want you to implant a C-hip inside of me? No, they're gonna be more than even if they told them we can insure you half of that, they would be more than on board to get onto that new system. So that's the thing behind it, which is People need a reason. Okay, so you may call it an incentive, you may call it twisted motivation, but people ultimately need a reason, and that's why they set up these crises to force people, push them. All right, so I'm gonna read a little bit of this. It says, and that's the news that you're hearing everywhere, right? Stocks are falling. This is crashing. This is going down here. But let's see. Let's see how far it falls. So it says, forget SVB. Credit Suisse is the real thing. A SIFI that could bring it all down, and that is perhaps why the world, his pet rabbit, decided to buy some counterparty risk protection on the Swiss bank. It says Credit Suisse has been a known issue for years. However, today's rather public refusal by the Saudis to throw any more money at the Swiss bank could have been the straw on the camel's back, sending the stock to new record lows. And that's also another thing. Fear is like fire. It's very, very, very contagious. Hence, there are certain laws, even on like going to war, that if somebody's fearful, there's to stay back, because they can actually, that fear can spread within the camp. And once you lose that will to fight, you may be very well prepared, but you won't be able to win that battle. So same thing here. So what is the main fearful thing? Imagine you have all this money in this bank, and then you find out like big investors who you probably learned, okay, they're investing here. These are the tactics they're using. So you look at them as examples, and some people follow their leads, and they're telling you openly, or even showing you, nah, this isn't looking secure enough for me. Then what are you gonna do? You're gonna say, oh shit, if they ain't gonna do it, why are they not gonna do it? They're a very big, investor, or a very big portion of this bank. So why are they all of a sudden saying they're not gonna do it? It must be something serious. Maybe let me withdraw my funds and move it somewhere else. Maybe somewhere more secure. So nobody wants to be the last person that finds out the hard way why. It's like when you're you're in a certain location, right? You're outside, and all of a sudden you just see a crowd of people just running. Everybody just starts running the opposite direction. Full speed. Oh shit, full speed. Nobody says anything, but they just start running. What do you think you're gonna do? The natural reaction is, all right, I'm out too. Before even realizing what's going on, the fact that you see people looking like they're panicked and they're dipping the other way, that's how stampedes are formed. And then you book it too, and then it continues like that. So it's the same thing. One person, that's how a bank run really happens. One person does it, and the other person gets spooked, and the other people get spooked. Oh shit! Then the trend starts, and it's very hard to get it to stop once it started. So let's see. Let me see here. So it says here, Charles Gasparino tweeted the following, which seemed to sum things up well. Breaking from a Credit Suisse employee in quote unquote panic meltdowns, people crying. Okay, and this is what, and why is that? Because they're so affected by it. And this is just, I mean, this is light compared to the things that are to happen. What happens when the real violence begins? No food, supermarket, all these things get like shit is just going downhill, where you're not looking at a screen and seeing stocks go down or those. No, you're looking at reality. Fires being set, buildings being destroyed, all of those things. Right? What do you think is going? That's going to be like. How do you think people are going to react? That's why the scriptures say men's hearts failing them for fear upon seeing the things that are going to be coming upon the earth. So it's going to be some very, very interesting. We have some interesting days and weeks ahead. All right. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. It's not going to always be a warning, a warning, a warning. Eventually, whatever we're warning about is going to come to pass. Ezekiel 33 and 33. But anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. I believe that I got that information out. And so, hey, as the scriptures say, the Lord set us up to watch. So that's exactly what we ought to do. Watch, current events, pay attention to what's going on, see where things are headed. Okay, and pray as well. So, Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.